Hello, I'm Ron Miscavige, and this is another life lesson. And today I'm going to talk about imaginary consequences. Now you may say, what the hell are imaginary consequences? Well, let me tell you something. It's something that almost everybody does, but is not aware of how it's affecting them. So let me get into this. There was a story I heard many, many years ago about a rake, a guy who borrowed a rake from a neighbor. And it went something like this. This guy who has the rake from the neighbor goes down in the basement and he notices the rake sitting there and he says, man, this guy loaned me that rake a year ago. I should have taken it back by now. Okay, well, I'm going to take it over now. So he picks up the rake and he starts going up the steps and he says, I wonder why he never asked me for this rake. I mean, that's a bit unusual that he never asked me for it. So he gets to the top of the steps and he's thinking, I bet he thinks I'm a goddamn thief, that I took it and I just forgot to take it back. And like I'm trying to steal it from him. So he walks to the front door and he says, I can't believe that guy would think this way. I mean, because I've done him a lot of favors over the years. And just because of a goddamn rake, man, come on. So he's walking over to the neighbor and he says, I cannot believe how this guy is. He gets to the door, knocks on the door. Guy answers his door. He says, here's your goddamn rake. Now, you may say, is that for real? Well, let me tell you something. Did you ever start thinking about something, about somebody maybe you had it in for, or you didn't care for the way they were, and thinking, man, that guy, one of these days I'm going to rip him apart, And you're going on in your own mind, yet there's nothing happening that would warrant you doing this. Now, look, people do it. I'm not going to say you're going to stop doing it after you listen to this lesson, but I'm going to show you how to handle it. By the way, there's another example I can give you, because there's a local store that I shop at, which is quite nice, and they have good food, good prices, and everything. Now, in Wisconsin, where I live, Friday night is fish fry night. So I go to the store where they have fried fish, and it's really great, and I wait for them to get it out of the fryer, so I take it home fresh, and I buy coleslaw and potato salad with it. So I got the potato salad, and I'm looking in the cabinet, in the freezer, what the hell ever you call it, where they have stuff like that needs cold. I'm looking there, and there's coleslaw in one container, and then there's coleslaw in another container. And there's a guy there who was waiting on people. I says, listen, could you do me a favor? Is that coleslaw the same as this, or is that the German coleslaw? He said, listen, that coleslaw in a small container weighs the same as it does in a big container. We just didn't have enough small containers. I said, well, wait a minute. No, I just want to know, is the coleslaw the same in the small one as it is in the bigger one? He said, listen, man, it's the same weight. I don't care the size of the container. I stopped talking to him, and I said, okay, thanks a lot. I walked away. Obviously, he had some incident happen where somebody gave him some crap on it, and he went over this in his mind, and he was still going over it. So in dealing with me, he wasn't dealing with me right in present time, in now. He was dealing with me as if I had something to do with what was going on in his mind. Do you see how this affects your ability? Now, the biggest effect it will have on your ability is this. It will inhibit you or reduce the effectiveness that you deal with life. As a matter of fact, here, I wrote this down, and I want to read it off here exactly, because this is what it does. It inhibits your ability to make correct decisions based on what is real and what is in front of you. Can you see that? In other words, you have a situation where you're dealing with somebody. You can't be thinking or have embedded in your mind something on the way to see him where you think he's no good, or he's a liar, or he's going to gyp you or something. You deal with the guy that's in front of you and what's real. If you can do that, in other words, keep your decisions and your attention in present time, I can tell you, you're going to lead a far more effective life. Anyway, that's how it affects you, How do you handle this? Well, I'll tell you how. Realize that you're doing it. And that alone is going to help you not to be effect of these imagined consequences. In other words, let's say you're going along and you're thinking, maybe something that happened to you with somebody, and I should have really read the riot act to that guy. God damn it, Wait a minute, think, hey, hold it. What am I doing? Start doing something else. Get your attention on something that's in present time or in now, right in front of you. Anyway, there's no way to stop a person from doing this because I think it's part of the way a man thinks. Matter of fact, I tell you, I think even animals do it. Because I used to have a dog way back in the 60s, back in New Jersey where we lived, and we'd get company over, and that dog would look at him, and he'd turn his head to the side, and probably what was going on in his mind is, these guys are terrible, I gotta get them. And I'd grab him, because if I didn't, he'd go and bite them. He wouldn't bark at them, he'd just bite, So I think that's what Fluffy was doing. I can't prove this, obviously. I don't know what the hell really is going on in the dog's mind, but I've seen it happen with cats, with dogs, and of course it does happen with human beings, because I myself are guilty of doing it. And of course, once I realized the way to handle it is stop for a second and say, hey, wait a minute. What am I wasting my time doing this? Let me do something productive. Let me do something that's real. Maybe I'll go practice my horn or read a book or something. Or not. In other words, you don't have to take my advice. You're free to do this, whatever you want to do. But I'm telling you, it's good advice, and the way to handle it is just become aware that you're doing it. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I think I've made my point, and I just don't want to keep on going on and on. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope in some way it can help you lead your life in maybe a more effective, more productive way. And if you can help me with something, I would really appreciate it. And that is to get more people to watch these life lessons. If you could just get 3 other people to do this and start watching these, we could get our viewership up to maybe 10,000 a week and eventually get it up to 100,000. Now, could you imagine if there were 100,000 people taking advantage of these life lessons, just becoming more able in life, maybe making more money, maybe leading a happier life with their family, and applying these things? Look, it doesn't cost a goddamn thing to do this. All you have to do is look at it and either use it or not. Use it, I would recommend, obviously, rather than not. But anyway, that's how you could help me if you'd like to. Just get more people to subscribe, and when they subscribe, you press the bell for whatever reason that is. I still don't know. And if you want to know what other things I do, you can go on the website, therealronmiscavige.com. I've written a couple humorous books. I interview people on a more morbid subject, and you can see that I'm keeping myself busy, and I'm very happy to do these life lessons, and I wish you the best. I hope you have a very successful new year coming up, and I'll end off just saying to you, Happy New Year. I'll see you on the next life lesson. Bye-bye for now.